Every Thursday, volunteers in Toronto's St. Jamestown get together and hand out fresh produce and dry goods to families facing food insecurity. But for the past few Thursdays, the St. Jamestown Co-op has been prepping, assembling and distributing the food outside because they no longer have a temporary indoor space to work from.
According to city data, food insecurity affects almost 1 in 5 Toronto households. So that's almost 20% of the city population. And the economic shock of this pandemic has pushed more people to prioritize every dollar they have. We welcome to CP24 tonight founding director of the St. Jamestown Co-op, Josephine Grey, social justice publicist Indira Tarachandra, and volunteer and community member Azikee Huie. Thank you all for making time tonight. Josephine, so you had 6 months at Wellesley Community Centre. That ended last month, but the demand remains, yes?
It certainly does. We have people on the waiting list. We've given out over 3,400 food hampers, and we still can't meet even more than 5% of the households in the community. And we know there's a lot more people who still need healthy food. It's kind of frustrating to find ourselves without operating space, although we're grateful for some storage space for our gear. And yeah, so it's, the need is increasing. We don't see it going away anytime soon, and we are definitely struggling to keep up, but we're doing our best.
Josephine, are you having any luck finding another place that you could prepare food and share the food inside?
Not so far, no. We've been actually, there's a petition that we started in January, and it has over 10,000 signatures on it. But, the response was, well, these people can help, these people will help, and it seems to go around and around in circles. And so far, since we had to leave the community center to make way for vaccination clinics, there's simply nothing really available. This community has been struggling for space and programs for a very long time, and nothing's changed yet.
Mm-hmm. And Indira, the pandemic, climate change, it's all adding to the cost of food rising. So what is it like right now to meet that demand?
I'm not best equipped to answer that question specifically because I'm not on the food distribution side of things, but from a PR perspective and from a traditional media outreach perspective, it's really hard to get the stories out that we need to get the demand met. So a lot of these organizations like the St. Jamestown Community Co-op, they have everything in place except for that final piece where they can push out for media awareness and get people in the community involved, people in the city, in the country involved. So for me, the main thing and what I'm the expert at it and what I'm doing is just getting the word out that we have a food insecurity issue in St. Jamestown and that it's in a real state of crisis right now.
Are you finding it hard to get people to pay attention?
No, I don't find it hard to get people to pay attention because these are the most newsworthy stories that I feel you can tell or that you can pitch from a PR perspective. But there is a lack of this kind of PR available to organizations that really need quick, no frills, effective, impactful PR that gets the word out there that the community needs some assistance. And it's not that we're asking for help in the sense of we need you to give us a solution. St. Jamestown has some great solutions put into place. We need help executing on those solutions that we already have, really good, sustainable solutions to some of these problems that St. Jamestown is facing.
All right, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Azikee, let's get you in the conversation here because let's talk more about the importance of this initiative and that importance of having the permanent space Josephine was also talking about.
It's very important because we offer also milk and eggs, and being on the outside, it's impossible for us to offer those stuff. And it's very important for the families to get those stuff because getting milk and eggs is an added nutrient. It adds to their also cutting on their food bill. So being on the outside, we have to be hurrying to get the boxes out. We have to be changing up our schedule, and it doesn't afford us the ability to add more stuff to the boxes.
Mm-hmm. And how has the pandemic been for community members there, Azikee?
It's crazy. That's basically just the word. It's totally crazy. They are in so much need. They need so many help. It's impossible for us alone to reach it. They have other help in the community, but because the need is so great, it needs more help. It needs more push. And when you see people coming up to you to say how much they appreciate what you're doing, it's very important that we get the support. It's very important.
So speaking of the supports, Josephine, during the pandemic, you did receive some temporary assistance, but how much of that is really still needed long term?
Oh, it's definitely needed long term. I anticipate that food prices will continue to rise. We're seeing droughts and fires threatening crops worldwide. It's not going to get any easier this winter. And this community of roughly 25,000 people, there's a lot of folks from around the world, newcomers, older people, disabled people, single moms, really, really need some more support. There's high rents. A lot of these buildings are private, and people are just really struggling. They've been struggling through lockdown, lots of families not having, enough internet access to go to school. There's just been so many problems. It's hard to even list them all. But we do know that there's been more overdoses, more suicides, all kinds of issues affecting our community. I'm also a resident, and we hear the sirens day and night. And we just really want, particularly the provincial government, to sit up and take notice and, think about their duty of care and do more to allow for the communities like ours to have the space and the resources required in order to meet the needs of the neighborhood.
As you say, Josephine, you have more than 10,000 signatures on a petition. There's a GoFundMe that's been collecting money, and you've been looking for a permanent space even before the pandemic. So what could the province do for you?
Well, I think the province could, assist the city in investing in opening up more spaces in St. Jamestown. There are spaces there, but they're derelict. They've been unused for years. The community has been largely neglected for a very long time, and it's going to take some meaningful investment in order to open up adequate spaces that can be utilized for needs like this. Also to make sure that we're emergency prepared, that we don't have disastrous outcomes from things like the fire at 650. We just need to have a lot more support and a lot more space in order for us to function well as a community. We are the size of a small city or a large town and a very small city block, and much more could be done, but it's going to require more funds and more resources and zoning changes and the like than we've been able to get moving for the last 7-8 years of effort.
Can you take us to that moment where it was the end of June and you still have more than 400 families relying on these baskets that you put together every month? And so you decide every Thursday you're just going to take it outside. I mean, you can do this for the summer. You can't continue into the winter. But can you take us to that moment where you said, we're not going to stop because we don't have a place to do this?
Well, we weren't sure how long we were going to be in that community center. Every month, we were on edge to find out if there was going to be another month. And it wasn't really a surprise at the end of June. So we knew that we would probably have to operate outdoors. We were lucky to get some storage space so that all our gear didn't have to be in my house. But nonetheless, there's no way that we could receive and deal with all those boxes in the tiny room that TCHC was able to provide. So, we were bracing ourselves for it. Luckily, we have a lot of great volunteers and some really wonderful staff who are making it possible. But, it takes a lot of guts. And that first Thursday was a thunderstorm and a rainstorm, and it was all very muddy and very challenging. I was so proud of our team being able to make it happen nonetheless, taking the food to all the buildings, making sure everybody got their box. We're just, we'll just keep doing our best with what we can, whether we get a shipping container or whatever it takes. Like, honestly, somebody needs to step up to the plate and work with us to make it possible to not only feed the 450 families we're currently serving, but to increase that amount so that more folks are getting what they need.
Mm-hmm. Now, Azikee, you work as a volunteer with this organization here. I mean, are the residents, the recipients, aware of the challenges you're facing and the potential threat to what's happening? And what do you hear from them?
Oh, yes, we do. They're quite supportive of us. They want us to continue, and they want us to get the support. They want us to get the space because it creates a big change in their life. It creates a big change in their nutritious meals that they're receiving. So it's quite important that we do what we are doing because the residents are giving us their support. They see you, they stop you, they want to have a conversation with you, and they want to know what's going on. They want to know what they can do for us to get this further, for us to get a permanent space, because it's important for them, for us to remain doing what we're doing.
It's grassroots and the demand is there. We appreciate you all making time for us tonight, and we wish you all the best. Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.